Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and today I've got an interesting book to talk about. It's a little spooky, it's a little creepy, it takes place in a school. It's Graveyard School Book 1, Don't Eat the Mystery Meat by Tom B. Stone, or Tombstone. Not really, it's a pseudonym, but that's okay. So, Graveyard School, book number 1, Don't Eat the Mystery Meat. What is this book about? Let's talk about it. So this book is the first book in the series called Graveyard School, which all takes place at Grove Hill School, which is across the street from a graveyard. So all the kids at the school call it the Graveyard School. You have some very interesting staff members at Graveyard School, like Principal Morthouse, who... is she a vampire? I don't know. Something's up with her. And the janitor, who really seems kind of Frankenstein-ish. And there's a new staff member this year, Gladys Stoker, the new lunchroom superintendent, who has kind of an interesting menu. In fact, did that food just move on the plate? I don't know. And the kids don't know either, because something weird is going on with lunchtime at Graveyard School. And it's up to the kids of Graveyard School to solve the mystery before one of them ends up on the menu. This is a fun little book, I will admit. This book came out in the 90s at the same time around when Goosebumps was coming out, kind of off the Goosebumps craze. It's another middle grade, spooky series where spooky things happen in every book and it's always a little different and there's different topics in each one. This is the first one of these I've ever read. I had never read any other ones, and I thought it was good to start with book number 1 because why not start at book 1? Now, this book series is interesting. Whereas Goosebumps is an anthology series, so there's different characters every time, a different spooky thing, a different location. This series is all set in the same place, in the same town, with the same characters. And I will admit, at the very beginning of this book, I thought, wow, there's a lot of characters. And who is who and what is what? And wait, is that character the same one as that? There were actually 2 characters that I thought were the same person at one point because they briefly showed up once and then they showed up again later. And I thought, oh wait, was that person? I don't know who this is. So it was a little bit confusing with the characters at the beginning, probably in the first third. After that, we kind of cement down to 3 main characters in this book that we're following along. The rest of the characters are all there and show up here in the classroom or the lunchroom. A lot of this takes place in the school cafeteria in this particular book. But the main characters kind of emerge, and we're following Park and Stacy as they are trying to solve this mystery. So it's an interesting book because this one, I kind of was wondering the whole time, are we actually doing something supernatural? Or is this going to be they didn't know what was going on and they assumed a lot of things, kind of like a Spine Chiller's Mysteries, where there's never actually a spooky thing happening. There's always an explanation, or like a Scooby-Doo where everything, like the old Scooby-Doo, not the new Scooby-Doo stuff where supernatural stuff's all over the place, but the old Scooby-Doo where you didn't ever really have supernatural stuff. It was always had a logical explanation, logical of some kind of an explanation to it that was grounded in the real world. And so I kind of wondered the whole time, are we actually going to do something supernatural? Because there's a lot of doubt introduced in this book. Because the kids are wondering, wait, is something actually going on? No, nothing's happening. That would be too wild to think something's happening like that. So there's a lot of doubt that's introduced to this book. Now, the other thing I do gotta talk about, and I'm not going to say a lot about this because I'm trying to be spoiler free here, but if you are an animal lover, I do not think you should read this book. I think that it will be a little too disturbing for an animal lover. And while this book never actually goes there, it is implied some things that if you read this, you will start to see. So if you are an animal lover, I don't recommend reading this book. I think it will really bother you. However, like I said, there's never anything explicitly said about these animals that are in this book, and that's all I'm going to say. So it's a little bit of an up in the air thing, but I think there's some heavy implication about some things that happen. So I'm just going to leave that right there. The characters are a lot of fun. They're quirky, they're funny, they're ridiculous. A lot of them are kind of the tropes of different schools. Like you have Jaws, who is the I'll eat anything kid. And then you have this girl named Polly who's kind of stuck up, and she's the goody two shoes who's like, I'm going to do everything I'm supposed to do. And here I'm going to do it. Watch me do it. I'm doing the good thing. See, I'm doing the good thing. So you have that kind of a character. You also have Park, who's a little bit of a troublemaker, but he's our detective for this book who's trying to piece together everything. So that's a lot of fun. One of the things I really enjoyed about this book were the side characters, like the different staff members at the school, because I kept thinking, oh, what actually is going on with that staff member? That's kind of odd. Like, is there something there? Because a lot of the staff members are sort of set up like they're a classic universal monster, like a vampire, Frankenstein, something else going on. So you're kind of wondering the whole time, what's up with that? And they kind of drift in and out, like on the sides of different scenes here and there. So it kind of leads me to think some of those characters are probably throughout this series and will show up again and again. And I'm curious if they will have their own kind of storyline come up about them. So like, for instance, like the principal kind of seems to be like maybe a vampire, and the kids even wonder if she's a vampire. So I'm curious about that. There's also like the school janitor who maybe is a Frankenstein or a golem kind of thing, but we don't really see much about that. There's like one action scene with the janitor that was pretty great. There's a lot of fun, good moments here. And I will just say the last finale battle is a lot of fun. I thought that final sequence was really good and had a lot of fun things happening throughout it where you're thinking, oh, no, don't go there. No, don't do that. No, you got to run over there. So you kind of get a little bit amped up reading it, I thought, at the end, because I was thinking, oh, what is going to happen to these characters? Because since I've never read these books, I have no idea if they survive or don't survive or where this book is going to go. I kept thinking, where is this book on a scale of Goosebumps to Shivers? Goosebumps is, in my opinion, pretty lighthearted a lot of times. Rarely does it actually go there and get really intense. And then you have Shivers on the other end. That always goes there. And there's no holds barred. And there's very odd, weird things that happen in a Shivers book. And this book, I would say, is somewhere more in the middle. You have some things happen that you're wondering, wait, did that actually just happen? And then other things that you're thinking, well, that's pretty silly and pretty goofy and kind of just funny for the sake of being funny along the way here. So it definitely was kind of in the middle between a Goosebumps and a Shivers, in my opinion. I think this book was a lot of fun, and I really did enjoy it. I'm interested to read more in this series. So we'll see what happens. So I would give Don't Eat the Mystery Meat, book number 1 in the Graveyard School series, a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I think it was a lot of fun, had great characters, great action, a really spooky thing happening that you're wondering the whole time what's actually going on, and it has a very satisfying payoff at the end when you find out what is going on. It was a very satisfying ending. So pick this one up if you're looking for more spooky middle grade, books to read. This is a great series to read so far. I hope the other ones hold up to this one, because this one was not bad. So until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.